Where do I want to do in a second? I'll just do desktop, it's easier. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay, it's nothing lengthy, but just to kind of give you a little bit of overview of our group, and kind of go from there. So obviously you've met people on there. So within our general business group, everybody's got a region. So as you see at the top, the folks that are on this call, Kent covers all of the US from our group perspective, from a services architect, sorry, and kind of is our design SME. And then our business unit is actually split up in two. So we've kind of got a commercial side and then a public sector, public safety side as well. So, you know, the commercial sales folks there in blue and then the public sector in grey there as well. You will engage with them, probably more so on the commercial side. We may get some things on public sector, but mostly on commercial. But I'd already done this slide, so I didn't want to reinvent the wheel, so kind of we left it on there. So I would give you a kind of a territory as where they are, but it's different for each of them, and it makes it really confusing. But just know that you'll probably get a good mix of working with each of the folks from a pre-sales perspective.
Great.
Kind of what I wanted to do is share the world as I see it at the moment, and then really look at vice versa from your perspective, and then really look to how we can do things better ultimately. So I put a couple of things together a week or so ago and briefly spoke to Eric about them. So just kind of wanted to talk them through with everybody. This slide's a little bit wordy. You can either listen to me or you can read it. It's entirely up to you. But there's really two different types of ways in which we are engaging Servion at the moment, and I think most likely will happen throughout the year. The preferred method happens to be the one that's going to happen least, being the early involvement, and maybe we'll gradually move better at that as the year progresses, and the one that's more problematic, being the later involvement, is most likely to be the more common one. And the reason for that simply is, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just simply internal evolution, really. It's relatively new, or very new, for us to be using a partner for Verint Cloud Services. And we are, although our group has always been partner-centric, we are taking big strides this year to do that. And one of the key things that you'll probably recognize very quickly is that certain AEs, certain account exec sales folks, are more comfortable than others when it comes to bringing in partners. You know, and so Matt Varner, for example, which I'm sure a couple of and Esco, that's their region in the southeast, is very, I wouldn't say pro, because none of them are against it, but he's very forward in bringing partners in. I think Lauren's had less opportunity to do so. So, you know, but it does change, and it changes on opportunities. You know, Matt's got a whole load of outsourcers and different opportunities that kind of fit into different wheelhouses. You know, different regions have different types of customers. So ideally, we have this early involvement where you are brought in effectively wearing a Verint t-shirt, and you just take part in the sale, you know, in a similar sort of way in which our solution consultants or Kent might be on a call during that sales cycle, identifying out of the products that are demonstrated, what the customer needs, integrations, locations, all those sorts of things that kind of are going to impact services pricing and design. And then there's a point during that process whereby collectively between the Verint solution consultant and the Servion consultant, there's an agreement of, okay, right, yeah, this makes sense. This is, this is going to be the design. Confirm it with the customer. Yep, this is where the recorders are going to go, or this is the connectivity that's required. Yep, great. And then you kind of run with it. Servion then run with it and we're like, okay, right, yeah, we understand that, we own that, that's our design, and so on. And then you run with that. And we're trying to make as clear demarcation as possible to avoid what's what I'm looking for? To avoid confusion from a customer standpoint and from an ownership and expectation standpoint. And from a Verint perspective, we'll always be there to support you. But what's key is that the customer understands that, okay, right, if I want to tweak and change this, and I no longer want integration A, but I want integration B instead, then I need to go to my Servion team and say, hey, this is what we want to change. It doesn't need to come through us to then come through you to then go back to the customer. They can just deal with that directly with you. And then if you're not sure of something, then you reach out to us and ask us. So we it's kind of a little bit of a role reversal. So ideally, that it would be the process. But as I say, we can't get involved in every deal. Sometimes the customer only decides cloud at the end. There's lots of different reasons as to why, but we will strive towards that. What most likely is going to happen, and certainly is what's happening at the moment, is that there is a point in the deal that's later on in the deal where we decide, okay, we want to bring Servion in here to assist us with the services. And that could be at various different pieces. There's no black and white decision as to when that's going to be. The decision is made by the AE, so it's not our decision. We would influence and suggest and recommend, but we're not making the decision. We don't own the deal. We don't own the opportunity. And when that happens, what we've been doing in the past is providing information and then kind of saying, here you go, Servion, go run with it, give us a price for this. Or we may have even given you our SAL and you've replicated it, or we may have given you an equivalent of a price sheet and you put it into yours and so on. And the problem that is encountered is that because the decisions around the design and the services have been made up off of conversations we have had and you haven't had, it makes it very hard from an ownership perspective. And then the customer wants to make a change, they come to us, we come to you, and it's just painful. Some of these changes may be made during the pre-sale stage still, some of the changes may be made post-sale stage, but there has to be that a clearer demarcation of ownership. So what I'm kind of proposing is not that too different to the early involvement process, but there's more of an official kind of handover step in that process whereby from a Verint standpoint, we will gather everything we've done up until that point, and we will give that information to you, and then we have a call between ourselves, you guys, and the customer. It says, hey, Mr. Customer, introducing you to Servion. They're going to kind of run with this design, and you basically confirm the design if the design is complete, or confirm the progress of the design if it's not complete, and so on. And then at such point, Servion then run with that, become that point of reference for the customer, but again, use Verint as a support mechanism. So I'm just going to pause there because there's lots and lots of words there. So I just wanted to get everybody's kind of feedback on what they think about that.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Vishnu.
Okay, thanks, Dave. I think that's the kind of engagement also we have discussed internally. So definitely, as you rightly said, early involvement is better for everybody. But in some cases, we're starting up this entire relationship. We started like 3 months, 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And we're at a stage that we understood things and how the things are happening between Verint, Servion, and customer. But yeah, we completely agree with you on the later involvement as well. So because in some cases, Verint team has already have a maybe a
Yeah,
TFE or SDD or
nature
some
of the
documents, and
beast.
then
It's the nature of the beast, unfortunately. But you know, and Eric, that'll be something, not so much my team, but that's something to continually work with Vicky on when we have those regular calls.
Okay.
To influence the wider sales group for them to make decisions earlier, because they probably could. They probably could. There's, you know, there are times where up front we've got an idea that this is going to, you know, we're 70-80% sure that this is going to go into the cloud and this is what it's going to be. You know, and those would be ideal situations to test that early involvement process rather than everything going into that later one.
Yep, agreed. And I think these sessions just help continue to work out the bumps in the road and the community. I mean, half the battle with this is communication. So, agreed.
Yeah. And then just following on from there is kind of like the deliverables. Yeah, and this is where that kind of ownership piece takes place. So obviously, you know, from a Verint standpoint, we're doing those first two items there. The middle section's a combination. And it's impossible to say, right, okay, yeah, it's always going to be one or it's always going to be the other, because it, you know, the point at which you come into a deal is probably never going to be the same on any two deals, unfortunately. So so we may well have almost done it, you know, and all of a sudden for whatever reason we've got to bring you in, or vice versa. It might be really in its infancy and you run with it and we kind of act as a support. But the key thing there is then at the end is, okay, right, the solution design document is the key to everything, which I'm sure you are fast learning from a enterprise services and a VCS operations perspective, is that everything revolves around that document. So from a kind of a next steps perspective after this, I think that's where we kind of need to focus some of our energies. So just at the bottom there, you know, Servion owns the relationship with the customer, you know, from a scope of services, and obviously those scope of services are always going to be dependent on the design. So if the design changes, then, you know, you run with it. If you're not sure, reach out. But we would just want to be clear on kind of who owns that. And we've been in your shoes. Certainly, Kent and I have been in your shoes, you know, working with Verint when we was at AdTech. And the moment other people start putting their noses into things, it becomes really, really messy. So what I want to make sure is that you are comfortable with that. And if you're not, then we need to look at what we need to do in order to make sure that you are comfortable with it. You know, so whether that be enablement, whether that be observing some of the things we do, a little bit of training here and there, whatever it is. And it's not necessarily out of the group or me personally, but there may be other people we can bring into it to help with that as well. And I think the last one really is just a question. So yeah, it's just a case of, okay, so questions and comments and so on. But from your perspective, Eric, where do you feel you guys are at from a knowledge and competency perspective? From, you know, and I don't know a huge amount about Servion, so it would be great to hear from you from your side as well. As to you know, where you think you're strong, where you think you might need a little bit more support, and so on.
Yep, no, perfect. Yep, and I think in general, I think your slides kind of summed up many of the things we've talked about, as Vishnu just said internally. So thanks for putting that together.
Yeah.
Vishnu, do you want to jump into a couple of the slides that talk to some of the points that David just asked around capabilities and things like that? I think that might make sense if you agree.
Sure, Eric. So that's what my plan. So let me just share my screen. Able to see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So let me start with, I think Dave, we also put some similar kind of, you know, slides for our discussion. So I just want to bring up a quick note on where we are at with this Verint capabilities. So I'll take you in a couple of slides about what is Servion doing for Verint practice. So if you look at the kind of products we support, we do consult implementation and managed services for workforce engagement models, workforce optimization, WFM, and analytics portion of it. So that is the major focus what we are looking at right now, and especially for the Verint VCS side of the house. And all these three segments can be integrated with any ACD, which is part of the Verint matrix, ACD matrix. And we are also gearing up our teams for the global, not only for the US. It's for APAC, UK, and Middle East as well for the Verint VCS deployments. That's the high level of it. So the next one is talk about the certification, the level of certifications what we have. Part of our Verint practice is about certified WFO and WFM implementation and support globally. And also we're certified on Verint Cloud Partner globally for all the geographies and all the regions. And when it comes to the professional services side of the house, we can really start from business consulting to design, implement, architect, and onboarding services, right? So that's where we're really concentrating on right now. And of course, the integration and custom development comes along with onboarding services. Some customers might just start with a standard Verint out-of-the-box VCS implementation, and some customers really require this integration and custom development services. So we do have a strong development team which can really bring in value with the integration and custom development teams with any API and with any ACD. So as we're a vendor agnostic, the other side of the ACD side, so we do have practices for most of the ACDs in the market. Then these are some of the Verint solutions where we deployed in large customers. If you look at the top tier is for the on-prem deployment currently, and we are discussing with Costco to migrate to VCS as well. So it's in the cards right now. And Verint VCS Cloud, there are 4 customers we currently engage. One of it is Proforma being Servion customer, and the other 3 we got the request from Verint and we worked on, and we have all 3 of them in the migration phase. I think Cubic is the latest one in it to add to the Verint cloud engagement currently. So this is the high level overview of Verint engagement model, what we have, Dave. Any questions?
Yeah, Vishnu, I've got a question. So from a kind of a knowledge experience, whatever word you want to tell me want to use, are you guys more services centric, or I think one of the things we've noticed, and one of the things I want to be able to help you guys with, is the discovery area of a deal. And you know, so for example, the solution design document is immense nowadays, and being able to, and this is the challenge on when we bring somebody in, especially when we bring somebody in late, but being able to basically complete that document. That's the objective of asking enough questions and getting enough answers in order to be able to do that. So from an experience perspective or from a personnel perspective, do you have a pre-sales person or SME that's got that sort of experience?
Yeah, we do have it. So okay. The way we have discussed that internally, Dave, is about 2 things, right? So one, even in the pre-sales level, there are some of the deals just requires a budgetary proposal without customers much engaging in the deal. Sure. And the second one is a real customer, and customer is ready to engage and move forward with the WFO. So with the budgetary level, we do have all what we need. At that level, we're also trying to determine what exactly is needed, right? Whether do we really need the SDD at the budgetary level, or do we need the SDD at the customer engagement level? So we are the first one, we do have everything in the pre-sale. The second one, we are actually gearing up to get the SDD done. But my understanding, again, Servion's understanding is that SDD required post statement of work is my understanding, but I maybe get corrected here. So
yeah, that's a great point. If you'd asked that question to any one of my team, they'd probably all give you a different answer. So so the SDD used to be a document that was completed towards the end, but nowadays it's not, and it's actually referenced in our SAL. So in our world, the SDD starts almost at the same time as the deal. Once the solution consultant, once a pre-sales consultant is happy that this is a deal that's going somewhere and somebody's not just tire kicking, for example, they'll start to draft an SDD document that might only have a summary of what the customer is trying to achieve at that point, and you might clean up the things you're not selling and stuff. And then as that progresses, you start to add in information. So when we're talking about that handover period between us and you guys, they should be able to give you something that's started and that you can then run with. Now, obviously, it's up to you whether you want to reference that in your SAL or not. Obviously, because that's down to your terms and stuff. But that's something that we do now. So in our world, the SDD comes first, because you can't complete it. Now, there is a point in time where they overlap. It's not that you can't start the SAL until the SDD is complete. There's an overlapping process there, and obviously different revisions and stuff. But generally, the SDD comes first.
Okay, I mean that's where again. So thanks for the clarification on it.
That's
so we did discuss about it, and most of the content in the SDD. We thought we'll cover it in the statement of work because that's the less number of versions.
And that's the different. People have got different different processes. What you put in your SAL will be different to what we put in our SAL. Your SAL is actually more of a proposal versus ours is very, very not much. Isn't that?
True.
True. I suppose the parameters that we've got to work between is what the VCS ops teams are going to tell us we have to do.
Yeah, that's the right point. So that's where I'm absolutely right on that. So SDD is a must. The only thing what we thought from Servion is whether do we need that during the SOW or post SOW. So our thought process here is CFE. If it is a pure cloud, we don't need a CFE. If it is a hybrid cloud, we need a CFE. Definitely some of the portions of CFE we have seen in the SDD. So that's one portion. The second portion of the SDD is about some portion of the scope and some portion of the actual parameters of the connectivity. When I say I have 3 recorders and 1 RIS server on-prem, but SDD may have more details than that, saying this is a spec of an on-prem recorder and the RIS server, right? So that's where we're trying to delimitate between the actual scope, because that covers everything except the next level details required in the SDD. So we thought we'll prepare an SDD during the project phase and hand it over to the Verint VCS team for the deployment cycle, not at the pre-sales level to do the statement of work. That's what at least our thought process.
Yeah, and you hit a very fine point, and it's a very grey area between design and services, and it's something that we still struggle to this day, where people assume that the person that's doing the design is going to be doing the services, and that's not necessarily the case. In our world, the individual solution consultants with their regions are responsible for the design. That then gets passed to Kent, and they say, "Hey, Kent, I need a price for this design, for this implementation," sort of thing, and then he does that, or he probably finishes off the design for them, but they won't tell me that. And then so from a deliverable perspective, you can either take on what we've started, or you can work with VCS Ops and says, okay, right, in this situation, this is what we're going to provide. I've had thoughts of a cut down version of the SDD, or ultimately it's going to be servers, storage, and connectivity. That's pretty much, integration. Sorry, integration's been the last one. Those 4 points. Everything else, our SDD includes the number of queues we're going to build or the number of forms we're going to build on QM. But that's because we've designed it and we're going to give it to somebody else. Well, you're doing that yourself anyway. So if you end up configuring an extra 10 queues in workforce management, that's entirely up to you. It's not doesn't bother us.
Absolutely, that's what we call it as a scope.
Yes.
Like 10 queues, 100 agents. We call everything a scope except the details of each one. How actual the connectivity.
If I was in your shoes, I can send you our draft SDD, and if I was you, I would just strip out everything that isn't relevant to VCS ops and then save it as a template, use it. Because if they're comfortable with what it looks like, they're going to be more comfortable. You start giving them different documents on every deal, they're going to get really nervous. But if you just give them a standard document that says number 1 is integrations, number 2 is servers, number 3 is connectivity, and number 4 is storage, and it's those things, then I think they'll be more than happy with that.
Okay. Can you share me a blank template of SDD, because I've received it for different opportunities that looks like a stripped down version of
what I'll do is I'll send you one. We've actually got one that's called an SDD guide, and it actually has commentary included in each of the sections as to what's supposed to be added in each of those sections. So then you can use that and just craft it into your own version.
That's what I think. We will do that. Sure, Dave. I think I'll wait for your document. As soon as I have it, we'll go with it, and probably I'll definitely take your suggestion on it. Instead of we strip down and see, let me take a look at that document, and probably we'll see how much we can reuse in that one.
Sure.
And anyway, we have access to CFE guide, CFE online portal. We can bring the CFE.
And I think the latest thing, and Kent, correct me if I'm wrong here, but they still require CFE if it's cloud servers. So if it's a total cloud deal, they want the CFE for those servers. Is that correct? You there, Ken? You're on mute.
Sorry. We would still need a CFE even for a pure cloud solution, because they do need to create the recorders specifically for that tenant, and if WFM is involved, a framework integration server for that tenant. So there definitely is a CFE for even total cloud.
So that typically requires post opportunity and before we hand it over to the VCS deployment team for deployment, correct?
Yeah,
correct.
Okay, got it. I mean, this is what we thought, right? The same thing. As soon as we see an opportunity from Verint, we'll assign AM and SE from Servion. We'll take over from entire opportunity, including CFE. But we just discussed about STD. Probably I'll also put the STD here. And then Servion will work with customer directly on the budgetary price code, and what that includes is scope, assumption, schedule, and pricing. So all of that. When I say scope, it's most of it from the SDD. So then from there on, it's a Servion's opportunity, and we run with the customer. We'll work with them. We'll amend the document. We'll change it, and we'll take it forward. As you said, like Dave, it's the only difference between if we are early in the process, we'll start from there. If we are in some part, Verint already discussed with the customer about the scope, we'll take the details from Verint. We'll take the point from there, and probably like 1 or 2 calls Verint may join and discuss about it. From there on, Servion owns the opportunity, and we'll run with that for the professional services side of the house.
Cool. Do you have, Vishnu, do you have package pricing? Do you have standard?
I do have a slide. I'll tell you what it is. So this is the Servion VCS engagement. So you have Eric, Rajesh from our delivery side of the house, and Mahesh Doraisamy is with the project team assignment. Myself, Vishnu, I lead pre-sales engineering, and we do have a Setu. He's a delivery owner and the practice head for WFO. And Sriram Rajamani will take over the overall Verint relationship. So this is predominantly a point of contact from Servion side, Dave. If you look at so this is
I'm sorry, but I know we're going to run out of time, but real quick, just on the bullet underneath me. So basically, we're trying to make sure that this program continues to go very successfully. As you outlined, the sales team, we've got 10 sales reps that are broken down in North America, geographically focused. But in the short term, myself and Leo and the team will kind of take in the leads and make sure we get them assigned, and then kind of watch them to make sure that the behavior is going well in the field and we're all set up for success. So I just wanted to make that point real quick.
Sure. Okay,
thanks. Oh, thanks, Eric.
Yep.
So again, so these are some of the solutions which we thought what Servion can deliver, what Servion is gearing up for the next phase of the delivery and so on. Dave, for the WFM, desktop, speech analytics, and so on and so forth. Right. So this is our an evaluation period and what we are very comfortable and what we are gearing up for the other services. And with respect to the rate card, this is our thought process, Dave. So if it is in line with your thought process, probably we can put the numbers and we'll start working on this. So
yeah, that would be really handy, and I think I can guarantee you that we'll never make you stick to it, but it'd be really handy to know what the ballpark is, because I think that will help with some of our getting you in earlier. If we're like, okay, right, there's an opportunity, it's going to be significantly different or better, and my team will know whether it fits into, a general workforce management tool or type bundle, or whether there's arms and legs all over the place with different integrations. They'll know whether it's in the realm of that or not. So having something like that would be really helpful.
Okay, so I think this looks, this is what we thought it may work. So I think now you agree on it. So we'll work on these bundles and definitely we'll put this forward.
Yeah.
And we also have the ACD matrix, which wherein products are supported to which ACD and what version and so on and so forth. We know that that's a living document for access. And so what is the exact process, Dave? How do you get those things whenever there's a new version released, or will there be a prompt?
Sorry, ask that again, Vishnu. Sorry, say that again.
Example, the ACD matrix. There is a very big document, a living document, as we understand from Verint.
Yeah.
Who is the owner of that, and how that get downloaded?
So the owner of the integration documents, a guy in Product House called Giles King. Now you should have access to the actual document via Verint Connect.
Okay.
So you should always be able to access it. There's no real formal notation of when things change outside of when there's a new release. So if there's a new Verint release, then that's generally when new integrations come up. Only other mechanism, and this is actually an internal issue we have, but the only other mechanism of finding out is if you just happen to find out about something new. There's so many different ways, but generally it comes through experience. But most new integrations will happen as part of the release. So.
Okay, because we just engaged with an opportunity called K Health. Post engagement, we looked at it and it says integration with Salesforce.com for email and chat agents. When we look at that document, that doesn't have that integration. So we were trying to see is there a newer version of it, or who's the right person to contact?
Are you talking about the Excel document?
Yeah, the Excel document.
Okay. No, that is the Bible, because that is the the master list. I think the caveat to that is that a lot of other integrations are done via APIs, or there are other methods. And we probably, I don't know, we're coming up on time, but we probably want to set up a couple of sessions whereby we just at you and you tell us what you already know, what you don't know, and we didn't realize we could go to this and we didn't know. Do you know that sort of thing? Because it's difficult for us to know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know. So we can kind of show you. For example, there's a soft phone recording app now that almost makes it agnostic as far as switches are concerned, but it's not widely used or widely known, but it is there and it is supported, and it's and there are different APIs that are coming out on a regular basis. And just on that note, actually, if you from an API standpoint, obviously the issues we've had with Hippo and the agent sync interface and everything else, if there is a huge gap in the Verint market of customers being able to manage APIs. So just as an aside, I would strongly recommend you being comfortable in the use of APIs, because that's where the Verint product is driving this year. Everything will be API focused. So
yeah, that's a great move, and we do have very much experience in the
that's
API
good.
front,
Mm-hmm.
including ACDs, any ACD, right? So
Okay.
we are definitely mastering most of the
Mm-hmm.
ACDs, the
Okay.
API side of the house, but definitely I think we already started with the Verint API
Yeah.
set, but definitely we'll be there. I think
Okay.
we can quickly grasp and we can get it.
Yeah.
But my other question, Dave, as your pre-sales team, any specific questions to the product? How do you reach out to? What do you suggest to Servion? Is it we come to you, or is there another group?
So I think, Vishnu, what we probably want to do is set up another session whereby we'll show you where all the information is. Okay. Because there's various places that you should. Obviously, I don't know what you can and can't access via the partner logins of Verint Connect. So what we'll do, if we do that session along with your partner manager as well, because then if we need to get access to something, they can then work on that. Because we've got various different sources, whether it be online, whether it be a downloaded library, whether it be a community site, a pre-sales community, so there's lots of different places where we go. There isn't, I was actually talking about this earlier this morning, there isn't a single source, unfortunately, it's places. So it's probably best that we show you where these places are and see what you can have access to, and then go from there. So sure. I think Eric, if you want to kind of pencil that one in maybe as the next step. It doesn't have to be with everybody. I don't need all my team on sort of thing, but that's probably Kent and myself, and we can then kind of go through with you. This is where we get all of our information from. What you access, what can you not access?
Perfect. Okay, perfect. We can take that. Great. Well, I know we're up against time, so hopefully this was helpful to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And Vishnu, I'll send you the SDD document down later, and then you can take a look at that and adjust it how you see fit.
Oh, sure, Dave. Thank you very much.
Great. All right. Thanks, everybody. Look forward to working together.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.